When I think of a tank, I think of big hunks of steel and malice, a bunker that provides fear to the enemy and hope for allies as it treads along on battle-ridden ground. And no other brings that feeling than looking at the tanks of the Second World War, the Second Great War. Yes, I do like learning of new tanks, but seeing the changes of doctrine and style in such a short amount of time, the extinction of tankettes, the slow fall of tank destroyers, and the hyper-specialization of half-tracks, motorized and mechanized gone in the same war. With that being said, I always prefer looking at the origin of things. The Mark I is the first tank to officially be recognized and used in combat with, different results depending on who's commanding them. From tanks going too fast and getting jumped, to some others suffocating and having a slow death from carbon monoxide poisoning due to poor design flaws. And also taking a nickname for being a land ship, as it was designed to just bypass trenches and end the trench warfare. That was its simple purpose. Not much else, because they didn't expect the Germans to have their own solution. They did at the end of the war, but it wasn't really that good. And then the French came in with this amazing concept, the Renault FT. Of course they had other designs, but I love this thing. They keyed the idea of an iron box that moved forward with a rotating turret on land. The first proper tank used in war. Both had variants, male and female, which means if it uses a cannon or machine gun. But the FT had, a couple more like radio and artillery concept. A bunch of other bullshit, honestly. However, this was not the only two tanks to come out of the Great War, as said, but these two were the ones to actually influence the greater stage. The world stage. Nations across the world during the interwar era would buy these FTs and Mark Is. Yes, they bought Whippets and a couple others. Just not the Tsar tank.
Holy Jesus! What is that? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, we don't talk about the Tsar tank. Apart from that bollocks, the FT was the most sold tank until a certain other tank was created, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, let's get into why I love the FT. The layout. This is the diagram for the female model. Well, the one I could find at least. Due to the machine gun seen here. And as seen in other reference photos, they're small, mostly in comparison to tanks, but this is a transport for war, not comfort. They're not designed to be spacious and luxurious. Anyway, this tank started the early dissections of sections. The engine section here, the turret section here, and the driver section here. Most all tanks after this would follow that principle, and expanding on it, going on to be called the hull section, turret section, and engine section. Minimal change, don't worry. Anyway, let's talk about these brave men doing their God-given task. Let's start with the driver. He would use these pedals here to change gear and brake, and then we move to the levers when, fuck it, change it! Thank you! Anyway, the left here controls the left track. The right here controlled the right track. And this little gearbox here does some of that technical shit. I think. I've never been in one of these, so I can't be sure, and I never drove one. I know how a T-34 works, and that's kind of how that one works, so I'm guessing here. Anyway, the gunner's job. Since it's a pain to find the inside picture of an FT turret with the gun, we're just going to use this, the Hotchkiss machine gun, which was used in the female FT model. Anyway, their job was not only shooting the gun, but it was to direct the driver and help them navigate. Later on, they would be called the commander of the tank. as tanks got larger. The commander became the heart and brain of the tank, but in these early tanks, these were just two morons in a duo hoping to the Lord, because that's a machine gun in a metal box. Observe. And yeah, good luck hearing anything with that thing going off over and over and over and over and over again. And yeah, that's my love of the Renault FT's diagram and design. There's a bunch more I could talk about, but we're going to keep this one short. And I'll sum it up with this. It's a little bastard that stayed in most nations' hearts, and frankly a big boost to the post-war French economy as the Great Depression hit. And, you know, that's a story for another day that I could go on about for hours, but we'll keep it short here. Anyway, thank you for listening to my hyperfixation. Have a good day, and stay safe, stay kind, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye!